back to the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Sax Merkel. Here with us today, Aaron. Go and say hi, Aaron.
Hi.
Alright, please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into it. So, in this video, we'll be doing the last of our tier list series for NFL free agents this offseason, going over linebackers and defensive backs, and whether we think they'll get a big payday from their current team, settle with a contract that may not be exactly what they're looking for from their current team, get tagged by their current team, or will they walk away and sign with somebody new altogether? Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So here we got our tier list all set up, and it looks like we'll be starting off with the linebackers, then cornerbacks, then safeties. First on our list, we've got Frankie Louvu from the Carolina Panthers. What are your thoughts on him?
I think he's solid. I think they probably look to see where are they at.
I'd imagine they have cap space. Who are they paying, really? Do, do, do.
Um, Panthers. Yeah, 33 million. Yeah, I'd probably look to pay him a decent chunk of change.
Yeah, he's probably one of the better players that the Panthers are at risk of losing this offseason. So, when you don't have a lot of guys that you're potentially going to lose, you should probably bring back the ones that are worth the most. So, moving on to our second guy, we got Patrick Queen from the Baltimore Ravens. I am in love with Patrick Queen. I think he's great. I also think he's going to be kind of the second biggest priority for the Baltimore Ravens this offseason, right behind Matabuke. So I think he also gets a pretty solid payday.
Yeah, yeah, 100% agree.
Next, we got Tyrell Dodson from the Buffalo Bills. I can't imagine the Bills are going to be able to bring him back. Um, you hope that Matt Milano gets healthy and can kind of be the main middle linebacker for that team going forward, because I just don't think the Bills are going to have enough money to bring back Dodson. So,
I gotta have a
sucks.
lot of money to bring back a lot of players.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, After that, we got Levante David. Buccaneers kind of in a weird spot. They've got a lot of big big time free agents this offseason. Mike Evans, Lamont David. And you know what? While we're at it, let's go ahead and also throw Devin White in this too. Do both of them. Um, Two all pro caliber middle linebackers that the Bucks are in risk of losing. Kind of the backbone of that 3-4 defense there in Tampa Bay. It's gotta be tough to imagine they're going to bring back both of these guys. Who do you think gets the big payday, and who do you think's out the door?
Um, I actually think they both get a decent payday.
Really? You think they both stay?
Yeah, I do.
That'd be huge. That'd be huge.
I mean, they've got like 40, was it? Yeah, 44 million in cap.
Yeah, and you assume Mike Evans is
So
gone.
yeah, I think they look to keep that defense, especially those two stud linebackers, intact as much as possible.
Yeah.
Um,
If you
and
had,
then look to support Baker with the other funds available.
yeah, if I had to pick one of them, I would pick Devin White just simply because he's, I think, like 4 years younger or something like that. Um,
Hmm.
but if they can find a way to bring them both back, 45 and 54, that's pretty sick. I never noticed that. Um, that'd be great. Um, and now another duo of linebackers. We might as well go ahead and do Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks at the same time. Um, I'd imagine Wagner being at the end of his career. Actually, I'd imagine he settles. He came back to Seattle for, I'd assume, to close out his career there. So if him and the Seahawks can find a short term deal for him just to kind of play out the last few years of his career, then I think they do that. Jordan Brooks, on the other hand, needs to get paid. So uh,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think they first look to lock up Brooks, and then Bobby Wagner kind of getting a team friendly veterans minimum type deal just to stick around for the vibes might be
Well, gotta
something they
remember
look
Pete
at.
Carroll's not there anymore.
That's a good point,
He
actually. I
might not
didn't think
want to
about that.
remain in Seattle. I mean, the team, the franchise is the same, but it's new coaching staff. So
That is true, and Pete Carroll was a defensive guy, so he probably had uh, a lot of ties to Pete Carroll. And with that being said, actually, that does make me. I was gonna put him at walk of it originally, and then I thought about like, oh, you know what? They might keep him around for the culture. But you're right. I forgot Pete Carroll's gone, and that connection may be severed. If that with that being the case, so I'll go with walk on him then. Um, Next we got Drew Tranquil for the Kansas City Chiefs. And
God,
again,
I hope he settles.
Again, we'll do the duo since we got another one here. We'll save Snead for his own separate little section, but with Tranquil and Gay both on the market, oh, Gay's gone. He's basically all
Yeah, I
but
think he's gonna
confirmed
ask for too
that.
much.
Yeah, he's gone. Tranquil, I'm right there with you. I really want him to settle. He seems to love it here in Kansas City, and he proved that he can be a really solid piece of that defense. So I'm gonna put him in the settle
I
category.
think he's good enough to be a starter somewhere,
Yeah, no, I agree.
and
I
he
agree.
deserves to be paid somewhere.
Well, and I think
But I hope he settles for
The
KC.
Chiefs run enough 3-4. They run a little 4-3, but they also run enough 3-4 to where mostly 3-4, if I'm not mistaken, to where I think if he were to stick around, assuming Gay's gone, I mean him and Bolton are probably your starters, and then Chanel's your backup, I'd assume. But or maybe we even
Yeah,
move
Chanel
Chanel.
solid too. He's a young guy.
Yeah. So um, moving on to Jordan Hicks from the Minnesota Vikings. We talked about this in a video earlier this week. I think we both kind of agreed that they. Oh wait, no. What did you say? I forget what you said. Did you say that he was on the older side? I think you did. You said Barr and Hicks were on the older side, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you think he's probably gone, huh?
yeah. I think it'd probably be best get younger there.
Yeah, especially if you're looking to, kind of rebuild the team, do a little bit of a youth movement, which in both of our opinions, I think they need to do. Um, yeah,
Which they've already kind of done. They've already taken some steps there.
yeah, they have. They've taken small steps here and there, but they need to go full in because if you do this half-hearted rebuild, it's just going to be mediocrity for a decade. So, next we got Josie Jewell out of Denver. I don't really know much about him. Um, but do know that Denver's defense wasn't great at the beginning of the season. Turned it around a little in the second half. Um, I don't see any
I think
reason.
Jewel had a solid season.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why they don't bring him
Um,
back. I don't see him. He doesn't probably get a big payday though, right? He probably settles for something smaller.
Broncos -27 in cap. Um, he'd have to settle.
Yeah, if he's sticking around, it'll be something smaller. Uh, Now we got Blake Cashman. I believe he was in the Defensive Player of the Year conversations there for a little bit this year. Texans, ton of cap space. He's probably one of their better defensive players on the market. He's probably coming back, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good pairing with their other linebacker out of Alabama. I forget his name, Harris, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think they pay him.
And then lastly in the linebackers, we got Aziz Al Shair from the Titans. I think he gets his money, whatever that ends up looking like. Um,
He had a year.
Yeah, because he was nice. Uh, and I think he's pretty young too, if I'm not mistaken. He's only like 26. Um,
Yeah, Uh,
So he's got room to
yeah.
grow. Titans have a lot of cap space to work with, as you mentioned, second in the league. So yeah, he's probably sticking around and getting whatever he wants. Now on to the cornerbacks, and firstly, all talks, all signs point to Snead getting tagged by the Chiefs this offseason. Whether that's a tag and trade or just a tag to play through the year and maybe work out a deal next offseason, I'm not sure. Um, but that seems to be, you know, the word through the grapevine recently is that Snead's getting tagged. So we'll just go ahead and slide him into that category. Uh, Next, we got Jalen Johnson from the Bears, who they actually cut, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they
So
cut Eddie Jackson.
Eddie J, that's who they cut. Okay, okay. So they plan on probably bringing back Jalen Johnson, I'd assume. Um,
Yeah,
and then
probably.
I guess that means if we want to go down to Eddie Jackson, he's probably. I mean, if they cut him, he's gone, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he doesn't
Okay.
have a choice if they
Yeah.
cut him. He's
Yeah.
walking.
Yeah. Bye, buddy. Bye, Eddie. Um, now down to a couple old friends of ours. We got Steven Nelson for the Texans, and we got Kendall Fuller for the Commanders. A couple former Chiefs, who bounced around. Well, Kendall Fuller hasn't bounced around the league since we had him. He just went to Washington's, lived there for a while. But Steven Nelson's bounced around the league a little bit since putting on a Chiefs jersey. Um,
Since getting cooked in that one game.
just getting absolutely torched. Yeah, I'm so glad he's gone. Uh, it was for the best. But for whatever reason, he was good for I think Pittsburgh, and then now Houston, where he's kind of turned his reputation around the league, and I think the Texans having the cap space they have, they probably bring him back.
I don't know if he gets paid or if he settles. I could probably see him more settling. I mean,
Yeah,
he's not, a top guy, so I don't think they'll give him anything too outrageous.
yeah. What do you think about Kendall Fuller over there in Washington? I mean, probably same thing, right? They've got tons of cap room.
Washington,
They've
I'm
got
fairly certain I've said it before. I don't know what that regime wants.
yeah.
you know,
I don't know.
um, especially with you know what they did trading away Chase Young and Sweat. So I could see them letting him walk and just full on rebuild.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think he is about to turn 30. So, um, this got Chidobe Awuzie. Talked about it in a video earlier this week. We both kind of agreed that they need to try to bring him back if possible, but he's not going to get a big payday if he does come back. He's going to end up settling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably the best defensive player or defensive back on that Bengals team. So if they can get a deal done with him, they should do so.
They're either gonna settle, like convince him to settle and then bring in another like stud corner,
Mm-hmm.
or he's gonna get paid and then they're gonna have to bring in some sort of second rate guy to try and
Yeah.
match him on the other side.
Yeah. Speaking of guy that may ask for too much money, we've got Stephon Gilmore. Um, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be able to afford to bring him back. He's probably going to be looking for, maybe not top tier cornerback money, but more high end than what the Cowboys can afford. Plus, the Cowboys are
He's also
kind of
old.
set. He's also old, and the Cowboys are kind of set at corner with Diggs and the other guy that just was it Bland? Is that right?
Bland, Deron Bland.
Yeah, Deron Bland. So I don't think that they really see a need for Stephon Gilmore after Bland's explosion this year. Kenny Moore, the second for the Colts. They seem to have the cap space to bring him back, so I'd imagine they do so. Do you think they probably end up settling with him?
Yeah. Well,
Or big payday?
yeah, they probably pay him.
Think they pay him? Okay.
Yeah.
Xavier Howard for the Dolphins. We talked about it in the defensive lineman video. He's probably gone because they got no money. And then Adoree Jackson for the Giants. I believe they also kind of just want to move on from him. I don't think he's coming back to New York this year. They've been talking about getting rid of him for a couple years now. Antoine Winfield for the Buccaneers. You would hope for their sake they bring him back. Again, going back to the Buccaneers, they just have a plethora of this All Pro, Pro Bowl caliber talent that could be potentially out the window this year. Now, here's an interesting question: can you afford all three of these guys?
No, I don't think so. Not if you
No.
look to get a receiver to replace Evans. I think either he settles or he walks.
So do you
And
think
I
they
think
prioritize these
more than
two?
likely,
You
I would.
okay? So you think he's gone then, Winfield? I love Winfield, so I think whoever scoops him up if he does leave is going to be in for a treat. He's a free safety, so I believe, so I wouldn't mind if the Chiefs could somehow snag him, but I don't think that's going to happen. Um, got Cameron Curl from Washington. I know he's a pretty solid safety, but other than that, I don't know much about him. I do know the Commanders have a
He
lot of
had a
cap
good year. He's
space.
young. I think they probably look to resign him.
Yeah, yeah, and they got the cap space to do so, so why not? Kyle Duggar for the Patriots probably also getting paid because they've got the money to do it, and he had a pretty solid year. He's pretty young. Same thing as Curl. Geno Stone for the Ravens. What are your thoughts there?
I think he's gone.
Yeah, I don't think they got the cap space. If they want to bring back Queen and Matabuke, I don't think they can afford to bring back Stone.
Yeah.
Xavier McKinney for the New York Giants. I would imagine they want to bring him back, but do you think they have the money to do so?
Um, where are the Giants? Yeah,
'Cause
they
it-
got 35 million. They
yeah,
probably do.
because I think he had a pretty solid season, if I'm not mistaken. Like,
Oh, yeah, 116 total tackles.
yeah. Um, Another New York safety. We've got Jordan Whitehead for the Jets. They just got no money. They just got no money with the Aaron Rodgers situation and all that, and I just don't think that they're gonna be able to bring him back.
Um,
What do you think?
yeah, and he's kind of like in the middle. He's not young, but he's not old, so he's kind of in that middle part of his career. They probably, oh, where are the Jets?
If possible, I'd imagine they'd like to upgrade at that position too, if anything. But I don't think they'd be willing to pay him what he would ask for because they don't really have the money, and I don't think they see that him as being worth whatever he's maybe looking at.
They got 22 million in cap.
It's not bad,
Um,
but
what would a
you'd hope they'd beat up the offensive line with that money.
yeah, what would a tag look like? What's
I don't know. If anything, I think they tag Bryce Huff. I think Bryce Huff would be more make more sense tagging wise, but because I just don't know if Julian or not Julian, if where Jordan Whitehead is worth that
that
money.
would put them? Oh, top five would put them around 17 and a half million ish.
Yeah, and I just don't know if they'll see him as being worth 17 million. Uh, Jordan Fuller for the Rams. I know they're not great cap wise either. Luckily, they don't really have a ton of free agents that we've had to look at in these tier lists, so good for them. But do you think they can bring him back with their kind of cap restrictions that they're facing? Having so much top end talent.
The Rams?
Or the Rams kind of cleared that up recently. I'm not sure.
They're at 43 million.
Oh well, then I'm just stupid, man. My bad. My bad. So we'll just
Um, I mean, he did okay. I think if they're not super comfortable with who they've got or who they're looking to get, then they probably bring him back. But I could see them moving on from him.
we'll put him at settle then. Uh, Julian Blackman for the Colts. Probably bring back.
Yeah, I mean, another guy who didn't really have a great year. But he did only play 15 games.
Yeah.
Um, he did all right, but I think they might look to move on, get something better.
Would be kind of cool if they got C.J. Gardner Johnson.
Hmm.
Who's our next one up here? Who I think I'm surprised he was this low on the safeties list because he had a pretty solid year, at least at the beginning. I'm not sure how effective he was down the stretch, but I know he started off the year hot. One of the biggest trash talkers in the game right now. Uh, I think he's perfect for Detroit, honestly, and I think they pay him.
Yeah, he's kind of bounced around these last couple years, but I think he's kind of found his home there in Detroit.
I'd agree.
Yeah,
He
and they've
seems
got plenty of cap, so
seems like a match made in heaven there between the two of them. I'm not gonna lie. But unless you got anything else, I think that'll do it for this episode of the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube, Swivel Chair Sports. I've been your host, Zach Zuckerberg Burkle. Here's the ghost today, Aaron. Go and say bye, Aaron.
bye.
All right, please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content. Other than that, deuces.